Hello, Andrew Jobling, the accidental author. Wonderful to be here with Michelle Powell. Hello, Michelle Powell. How are you?
I am very, very well. How are you?
I'm great. So good to be here with you, and you're doing amazing things on the other side of the country.
Yep,
Yep.
I am.
You're a lady of few words, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yes,
just
I
single
am.
word answers.
Great
Yes,
things.
no, maybe.
So, for people that have not listened to it, there is a wonderful podcast that you and I did together. Is your authentic self. So, I really want to encourage people to listen to that because you've got a story and a half. When we
Yeah.
met, the first time we met, 2011, I think it was June. It was chilly. We're in
Oh,
Melbourne. Pretty
well,
sure it's
yeah,
June.
Melbourne is chilly.
It is, well, particularly in June.
Mm.
And I was at the Mind, well, we were both at the Mind Body Spirit Festival, and I was promoting not my third book, Dance Tilt Reigns, and I was also promoting an online program, online workshop, one word at a time for aspiring authors. And I was graced to meet you. Absolute honoured to meet this amazing lady. And you're in a pretty dark place in your life at the time, weren't you?
Yeah, pretty ordinary. I
Which was,
possibly
sorry,
didn't look like I look now.
you look 10 years younger than you did 10 years ago. 10
Yep.
years younger than you were 10 years ago, 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you look 10 years older than you were today. 10 years ago, you look 10 years younger than you were then.
Wow. That makes me 30.
There you go, 30. All right, we'll go with 30. Well, if you're 30,
Yep.
that makes me young as well, which I like.
Yeah.
So let's just go with that. But
Mhm.
you've now published your first book of many. Can you hold that up for us, Mish?
I can.
There it is.
This
Freedom
is me.
Warrior Princess. And you self-published that book.
I did.
Since then, you tell me you've sold very close to 6,000 books, which is
Yeah.
extraordinary as a self-published author. So we're going to tap into your amazing creative brain about how you went about doing that. Because I think everyone listening to this, they want to know, how do I sell more books? Particularly people,
Yep.
whether they're self-published or not. Selling books is the goal. You don't write a book to sit in a box. We know that. It's not about the book. We know that. And it's never been about the book for you, has it? Tell us what
No.
it's been about for you, Mish.
It's a bit, I've always loved the written word and, always written things down, journaled, and used that as part of my healing. So, holistically, healing is my thing from trauma. And so, when I went through the most probably traumatic experience of my life, I turned to writing. But then it wasn't until I met you, Andrew, that you said, well, why don't you put it into a book rather than on a million different journal pages? And I saw the sense in that I could really put my word out there about suffering through domestic violence and, being a victim and where that took me. So it took me a little while to decide to actually publish said book because I was concerned about, people reading it and reading what went on until I went, okay, no, this is my authenticity, which I'm all about. And this is my story. And I can share that in order to, help other women, men, children that are going through crap.
Yeah, that's a really important point, Mish, I think, because I think a lot of people have fear around what their book, what they write, the impact will have on other people. But as you said, this is your experience, your story.
Yeah.
What's it got to do with anyone else? I mean, this is your experience, and you've had a pretty horrific experience.
Yeah, yeah. And no, that is very important because that took me a long time to kind of cut through that and step out of my comfort zone, I guess, like we all talk about, and go, no, this deserves to be out there. And I think my whole goal of writing that book was not just to have a book out there, not just to say I'm an author or to make $1 million. I wanted to make change in people's lives. And my passion has grown a lot even since authoring that book to make change in people's lives. So,
So what's changed for you? Tell us about since publishing the book, so obviously writing it, I would imagine would have been a very cathartic experience.
Extremely, yeah.
And being real as well, and writing everything, even the stuff that you maybe had some fear to put down, that would have been, I think, a very healing thing for you to do. But the stuff you're doing now as a result of that and getting it out there and feeling this freedom now that your story and your experience can help other people. Tell us how that's evolved over the last few years.
Yeah. And look, it's not just being, having that physical copy of my book out there. It's also been that healing process that I went through whilst writing the book that's enabled me to now, step up, create my charity. And as I said to you just a minute ago, we've just received all the confirmation that the charity is through, but also the public benevolent institution has come through, which opens us up a lot more to be able to help more people. And so by writing that book and getting my words out, it's given me the confidence to really step into my power, or to take my power
voice,
back.
hasn't it? Like, it's actually brought your voice out.
It definitely has. Yeah.
Confidence for you to speak up.
Yeah, and I'd imagine when I first met you, Andrew, I was still the person that had a bit of a chat with my chest all the time, and the funny thing is that, and I love telling people this, that I was always measured myself at 156 centimeters tall. Now, when I measure myself, I'm 162 centimeters, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that I grew in 10 years.
Or you've got high heels.
Yeah. It's just due to the fact that I can now stand tall and proud of the person that I am. And getting my story out there was confronting, but I think I found some power in my vulnerability as well. So sharing not specific details of what went on in my life, but, a background story of what went on has given me that power to really step up and be the voice, not just for myself, but for other people who have been through domestic abuse and family violence.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? We've got so much fear around vulnerability and being judged and being laughed at or being criticised. But when we actually do it, and I've experienced this recently as well, when we actually have the courage to do it, we realise that vulnerability is our power, is our strength, and it empowers others, isn't it? To feel like they're okay, that they can also get through whatever they're going through. So it's such an amazing, and it's great to reflect, isn't it, over the last 12 years since you and I first met, and to watch you. I mean, a lot's changed in my life as well, and I think I'm a very different person too, but it's such an extraordinary change in your life from this meek, mild, scared, self-loathing person. Never felt good enough. Always felt like everything was her fault, to this person now that's published author, sold lots of books, is now a coach and a consultant and inspiring women, and has started 2 charities. Is incredible. So good on you. And I think, it's not just the book that's helped you do all this. I mean, you've obviously done a lot of inner work, but I think for people watching this, it's really important to know that you've still got to do the inner work. Just writing a book is not the answers to your problem. But it's but it will help with that inner work. And once you've got the book, you've got this power to leverage. You've got this power to inspire and create change, which is what you wanted to do. So
yeah, exactly. And I know that I talk about authenticity a lot, but during my, up until that period that you met me and I started, getting my truth out there, I wasn't authentic. I was always covering this up, or I was covering that up. And we all know that, when you're lying for one thing, you've then got to tell a bigger lie to cover something else up. And I had to dig really, really deep to find out who Michelle was within that. And I think that is what came out in me from writing my book, to enable me then to really feel the strength and, standing up in front of crowds of people to share my story and have an impact on their lives as well.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. So, Mish, how'd you sell? How did you go about selling so many copies? What have you done? Because I think people listening to this are going, okay, that's nice, that's great, that's wonderful. How do you sell 6,000 copies of a book when you're self-published and you've got to do everything? That's an extraordinary amount of books. Tell us how you went about doing it.
Yeah, and I think part of that too is I did it with nothing because I rebuilt myself a little bit. Started having an income and that sort of thing. And then we hit a drought and I was on the dairy farm. And of course, that then led to going back to zero again. So, picking and choosing where you want to spend your energy. And money's just energy too, right? And so creating space for myself was what I needed to do. So I talked about getting out of my comfort zone. So another part of getting out of my comfort zone was actually doing short videos on social media. Little hints and snippets about my story and little tips on, the journey that I had been on. And then, sharing that I have written a book about this. And for me too, it was always carrying a few of my books with me.
Smart girl.
Yeah. So if ever you had the opportunity, if you were sitting in a taxi or on public transport and, started up a conversation with someone, then you always had that reference to give them. And it's not about selling your book to them, but sharing part of you with them. And then what I found was those people would inevitably go away and there would be, 5, 10, 15 sales of my book after that. So that kind of organic marketing as well. Whenever I run a program, a personal development program or anything like that, obviously I would let them know. And when someone hears you speaking in that forum, they want to know more about you.
Yeah.
So I would have a box of books there and sell them. But most of my marketing was definitely done on social media. And just I was never, I am going to become, but I was never that pushy out there person. Now, I don't mean I'm going to become that pushy out there person, but I'm going to put myself out a little bit more in the future, especially seeing, I've just got my second book finalized and working through that as well. So I'm going to see, what different plans of action I can take with that. However, using online groups through Facebook, through LinkedIn, even now through TikTok, and there's always people that are forming groups for authors or for self-published authors and things like that. So once you start joining different groups like that, everyone wants a bit of everyone's story.
Yep.
So if they know that you're telling a personal story, it just creates that intrigue in people as well. So
yep.
they, end up purchasing. And sometimes it's for just for that gossip type of reason, I guess, to find out what's going on.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound all very organic, Mish, which I love. It's not forced. It's just you talking to people with a real deep concern for them and to want to share a bit about yourself, which I think is awesome. And that's always going to get people interested in finding out more. Now, you talked about your speaking gigs. How did you go about getting speaking gigs? I mean, again, just to give some people some thoughts and ideas.
So initially it was just showing up to places. And then after people had spoken, just talking to the organizers of events and saying, look, I've got a story I'd love to share with you. Whether you get as many knockbacks as you do acceptances. So just knowing that when someone says no, it doesn't mean you're not good enough. It just means that they're not ready for you at the moment.
Yeah.
And often Well, I guess I've found that often those people come back after a while and go, I
Plant a
met you
seed.
at, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because after they've seen you speak at a few other events, they're like, maybe that is the person that I want.
And also,
Um,
I guess,
so,
you're probably then connected with them on social media, so they're watching the social media activity you're doing. They're seeing the great stuff
right.
you're doing, the stuff content you're putting out there, and there will be a time, and timing's key for everything. Like I know for me, I'm ringing and ringing and ringing and ringing HR people and people to try and get some corporate speaking gigs, and you get no, 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 no. But that persistence piece eventually cycles back, and you get a contact from the person that maybe you spoke to 12 months ago and said, hey, we need someone to come and speak now. Bang.
Yeah,
But if you don't
exactly.
put yourself out there, if you don't do the stuff you're talking about, you'll never get those sort of back end kind of gigs that are there. Because time,
Mhm.
not every group needs a speaker or you as a speaker right now, but at some point they will. So keep putting yourself out there. And I think that's the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they get, as you said, get discouraged by the no's, not good
Yeah.
enough. No one's
And
in
I think,
my story.
sorry.
Yeah,
And I think so too. You might be asked to speak somewhere and then you find out that, oh, it's a coffee morning for 15 people. But that doesn't matter because if you've got a passion to get your story out there, then those 15 people the next time might be 1,500 people. So it's just accepting any opportunity that comes your way without being judgmental.
that's right. And what about if one of those 15 knows millions of people? What if there's one of those 15 that opens a door that unlocks the opportunity for you to get in front of thousands of people? So you're right. Never ever prejudge and say yes to everything.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. And I'm not sure if I mentioned to you, like uh, having organic conversations as well. So when you actually have a conversation with someone and just share a bit about what you're doing, because I also believe in not sharing absolutely everything so that people don't walk off with your ideas as well. But just giving little snippets of what you're about can turn into so much more as well. I had a conversation with someone a couple of weeks ago, had no idea who they were. I just started the conversation by saying, I really love your hair. It turned out that this person was a government minister that I can now meet with and talk about, furthering my charity. So it's not being afraid to have conversations with people that you meet, whether they're a homeless person on the street or whether they're, someone who.
So talk to anyone is what you're saying. Just
That's
talk
it,
to anyone because
basically.
you never know who they meet, where they'll lead you to, what doors they'll open.
Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, Mish, before we end this awesome short conversation, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted, because you are coming with me to Bali. We're going to be in Bali on July 23rd to 29th. And I guess, for people watching this that, they've heard me ad nauseum talk about Bali, they're going, oh, here we go again. However, I think this is incredibly important, particularly for people that are feeling a bit stuck no matter where they are in the journey. What do you think it's a good idea for people? Because this is not me, this is you. And I'm not paying you to say this, I haven't worded you up.
Oh, I thought I was being paid.
Shh,
Oh,
shh, shh. It's an off-air conversation, Mish.
uh,
What do you think is for anyone that's either written a book or has got an idea to write a book or wants to get their mission, their message, their lessons out into the world? Why would you recommend them to invest time and money to come to Bali?
you know what? I would even invest that time and money to come if you had no interest in writing a book. If you just like journaling at the end of the day, or you just feel like you need to mix with people who are genuine, who have a story, and be able to even just gain some clarity in your life. Because as we said before, it's not about this. It's not about that hard copy of the book that you have. It's about your heart, and it's about sharing your heart or your mission, your heart-driven mission with other people. And if you can connect with, and I don't like using this term, but if you can connect with like-minded individuals that can help you on your journey, then why not just bite the bullet and do it? And this is probably the first time in my life that, I chatted with Andrew and I said, yep, I'm doing it, and paid you the next day, because I've been through the past 12 years of my healing, putting things off. No, I won't do that because of this. No, I won't do that because of this. And I think it's about taking that step in your life into the unknown, where you just never know what might come of it.
Yeah. Well,
And that,
I don't think I
yeah,
could have said that any better than you did. So it's a bit of a leap of faith. I know it is. But again, as you said, Mish, it's if you want things to change in your life, you got to do something different. And
yeah,
things, you can't keep doing the same thing and just expecting a breakthrough to happen. You've got to
yeah.
change something, and maybe this could be the circuit breaker that unlocks a whole new path for people watching. So, Mish, how do people buy your book? How do they get your book? First question.
So you can jump online at empowerher.com.au.
That's on the screen now as we're talking. So,
Oh, perfect. Or you can even just flick me an email, because I do have some in stock at the moment myself that I can send out.
and your email address is?
We'll need that too, won't we? Michelle@empowerher.net.au.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
you've those websites and email addresses have come up on the screen, but I really want to recommend that you reach out to Mish. And you now, as a charity, you can start. You're looking for members. You're certainly looking for money, as charities
Yes.
do. So if you feel
Yeah.
so inclined to support Michelle on her charity, which is really empowering women who have been through domestic violence and helping them find housing, and just helping them get back on their feet so they can be the amazing people they're born to be. I think good on you, Mish, for doing everything you're doing, and well done for your success as an author and your continuing success to inspire and help people live their best life.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew.